Complete emotional self-protection methods. Stop emotional drainage. Have you ever experienced a strange yet extremely common state of mental fatigue? You do not engage in heavy physical labor, work overtime late into the night, or undergo strenuous physical exercise throughout the day. You do not face intense work pressure or troublesome life events that can obviously exhaust your body. However, after simply communicating with others, listening to other people's complaints about life, absorbing the negative emotions of relatives and friends, or passively receiving colleagues' anxiety and complaints in the workplace, you will suddenly fall into a state of extreme mental exhaustion. Your heart feels blocked and empty. Your mood sinks for no reason, and you even lose the motivation to speak or do anything meaningful. What is worse, this kind of emotional fatigue cannot be relieved by a simple night's sleep. When you lie in bed at night, you repeatedly recall every conversation and interaction of the day, overthink other people's attitudes and emotional states, and sink deeper and deeper into internal friction and emotional depression. This persistent mental torture gradually consumes your inner energy and makes you feel tired of life unconsciously. Most people trapped in this cycle will fall into severe self-denial. They constantly question themselves and label themselves as overly sensitive, pretentious, fragile, and mentally weak. They believe that their emotional instability and easy exhaustion are inherent personality flaws, and that they are not as generous and powerful as those indifferent to external emotions. This wrong self-cognition becomes another heavy mental burden, exacerbating internal friction and emotional exhaustion, forming a vicious cycle that is difficult to break free from for a long time. In fact, the core truth of frequent emotional exhaustion and mental internal friction has nothing to do with personality defects or poor mentality. The fundamental reason is the lack of complete emotional self-protection awareness and clear emotional boundaries. Most kind and delicate individuals unconsciously bear the negative emotions of others and pay the price for other people's negative life states. They consume their own spiritual energy to accommodate and tolerate others' emotional outbursts and negative states, which is why they feel exhausted all year round. In real life, there is a group of people who are the most vulnerable to emotional loss. They are individuals with strong empathy, delicate minds, and a habitual willingness to understand and accommodate others. For a long time, public misleading cognition has made people equate high sensitivity with weakness and consider excessive accommodation and forbearance as excellent virtues. Therefore, countless people force themselves to become numb, indifferent, and careless, and take the initiative to bear all kinds of negative emotional input from the outside world. However, the more sensitive people suppress their emotions, the more they tolerate external negative interference, and the more they compromise with others' emotional demands, the more serious their internal friction will be. Long-term emotional suppression and boundary loss will not make people stronger. It will gradually collapse their inner spiritual system, making them anxious, depressed, confused, and lost for a long time. This article will thoroughly analyze the underlying psychological logic of emotional drainage from an authoritative psychological perspective, revealing why kind and delicate people are more likely to be consumed by external emotions. Meanwhile, it will provide a complete set of practical, gentle, and non-conflicting emotional self-protection systems that are suitable for all people in all life scenarios. These methods do not require alienating others, refusing social interaction, or becoming cold and selfish. As long as you fully understand and practice them, you can completely get rid of passive emotional consumption, stabilize your inner core, and maintain long-term emotional stability and spiritual relaxation. To fundamentally solve the problem of emotional exhaustion, we first need to clarify a core question. Why can other people's emotions accurately affect and consume you? Most people attribute this problem to overthinking, but this is not a personal psychological defect. Instead, it is an inherent instinct of the human brain, which has a solid scientific psychological basis. Psychology has a classic and authoritative concept called the emotional contagion effect. The human brain is equipped with a special type of nerve cell called mirror neurons, which exist in everyone's brain and play a decisive role in emotional interaction and emotional transmission. It is also the root cause of almost all passive emotional internal friction and emotional drainage. The core function of mirror neurons is to automatically capture, copio, and synchronize the emotional states of surrounding people without subjective consciousness control. When the people around you are happy and relaxed, your emotional state will unconsciously become positive and comfortable. When others are sad, wronged, and depressed, your mood will also sink involuntarily. When the people around you are anxious, irritable, and angry, your inner state will also become tense and restless accordingly. This emotional synchronization is an automatic physiological reaction of the human brain, which cannot be stopped by simple subjective will. This also perfectly explains why people with strong empathy will feel depressed and uncomfortable as soon as they approach people with heavy negative energy. Negative emotions have extremely strong contagiousness, and sensitive individuals can capture these subtle emotional signals that ordinary people cannot perceive. The essential difference between people who are easily consumed by emotions and those who are emotionally stable lies in the activity level of mirror neurons, not the difference in mental state. People who are naturally careless and heartless have extremely low mirror neuron activity. They are difficult to perceive subtle emotional changes in others. No matter how anxious, collapsed, or complaining the people around them are, they can forget all negative information in a second and will not let external emotions stay in their hearts at all. In contrast, sensitive and empathetic individuals have extremely active mirror neurons. They can accurately capture the subtle grievances, depression, anger, helplessness, and anxiety hidden in others' words and behaviors. They can perceive emotional details that most people ignore, so they are more likely to soften their hearts, empathize deeply, and be dragged down by others' negative states. It is crucial to correct a widespread wrong cognition here. High sensitivity is never a personality defect, but a rare emotional perception talent. People with high sensitivity and strong empathy are kinder, more gentle, better at thinking from others' perspectives, and more willing to tolerate and understand others. They have richer inner emotions and more delicate perceptual abilities, which are precious spiritual advantages in interpersonal communication and personal growth. Nevertheless, any talent without scientific management and effective restraint will turn into a shackle that traps oneself. The biggest disadvantage of high sensitivity is that if there is no emotional isolation and self-protection mechanism, this strong emotional perception ability will continuously absorb all kinds of negative emotions from the outside world. It will silently consume personal inner spiritual energy, making sensitive people tired and exhausted all year round. This also explains the universal psychological phenomenon in life. The kinder, more sensible, and more considerate a person is, the easier it is for them to suffer from emotional internal friction and mental exhaustion. These people always take the initiative to take responsibility for others' emotions, accommodate others' negative states, and wrong themselves to maintain interpersonal harmony, ultimately consuming their own spiritual vitality. Many people will have doubts at this point. There are also many sensitive people in life who can maintain emotional stability and will not be easily consumed by others' emotions. What is the essential gap between them and those who are prone to emotional exhaustion? The core answer lies in a key underlying ability that determines lifelong emotional stability, which is the ability of self-differentiation proposed by Bowen family systems psychology. Self-differentiation refers to the individual's ability to clearly distinguish self-emotions from others' emotions and separate one's own life propositions from others' life predicaments. It is the most core underlying ability to resist external emotional consumption and maintain inner stability. Individuals who are extremely vulnerable to emotional drainage almost have zero self-differentiation ability. Their emotional boundaries are completely blurred and integrated with the outside world. They cannot distinguish which emotions belong to others and which emotions are their own. When others are unhappy, they will mistakenly attribute the reason to themselves and fall into self-blame. When others complain about life and deny their own encounters, they will also follow negatively and deny their own life state. When others are emotionally depressed and irritable, they will also be trapped in the same negative state. Such people habitually take on all others' emotional responsibilities in interpersonal relationships. They will feel guilty when their friends have a bad life, feel anxious when their colleagues collapse mentally, and feel restless when their relatives are in a bad mood. On the surface, they are gentle and kind people who are good at taking care of others. But in essence, they are over-consuming their emotional energy without bottom line and boundary. On the contrary, emotionally stable people with a strong inner core also have strong empathy and delicate perception, but they have an invisible and firm boundary wall in their hearts. They can fully understand the hardships and difficulties of others, but they will not bear others' sadness and pain for them. They are willing to listen to others' troubles and grievances, but they will not absorb others' negative emotions and let them affect their own state. They can treat others gently and kindly, but they will never pay for others' wrong choices and negative life states. This kind of boundary awareness is the most lacking ability for ordinary people and the core essence of real emotional management. Most people's understanding of emotional management is extremely superficial. They mistakenly believe that emotional stability means forcing themselves to be positive, suppressing negative emotions, and making themselves numb and indifferent. But real emotional management is never self-suppression and forced optimism. It is to scientifically isolate external emotional consumption, firmly guard one's inner boundaries, and protect one's spiritual energy from loss. The following 3 sets of closed-loop emotional self-protection methods are refined for all life scenarios such as workplace socialization, family affection interaction, and daily interpersonal communication. These methods are zero cost, easy to practice, will not hurt interpersonal relationships, and do not require individuals to become cold and alienated. Long-term adherence can completely eliminate passive emotional internal friction and build a stable inner emotional defense system. The first method is the emotional stripping method for instant stop-loss, which is suitable for all sudden emotional consumption scenarios and can quickly cut off the connection with external negative emotions. The root of most people's long-term internal friction is excessive emotional substitution and blurred responsibility attribution. They habitually take others' problems as their own responsibilities and take others' emotional fluctuations as their own spiritual burdens. This wrong cognitive mode makes them trapped in endless self-consumption. From today on, once you perceive that your emotional state begins to be affected by the outside world, once you feel depressed, irritable, guilty, anxious, and flustered due to others' words, attitudes, and negative states. You need to start instant emotional stop-loss immediately. Keep repeating a cognitive hint in your heart steadily and firmly. These are other people's emotions and other people's life propositions. They have nothing to do with me, and I do not need to pay for them. Many people will underestimate the power of this psychological hint, but it is the most effective way to cut off the empathy link of mirror neurons. It can instantly strip the tangled self-emotions and others' emotions. Pull your wandering cognition back to yourself and stop passive consumption in the shortest time. We need to always keep in mind an eternal truth of life. Everyone is only responsible for their own life sufferings and emotional states in their life journey. Other people's anxiety stems from their own cognitive limitations and life choices. Other people's grievances stem from their own life experiences and inner obsessions. Other people's irritability and anger stem from their own emotional control problems and negative mentality. All external negative emotions have their own root causes, which have no essential connection with you. You can choose to be kind and gentle. Take the initiative to listen to others' troubles and give appropriate comfort and companionship, but you must never over-substitute, over-empathize, or attribute others' problems to yourself. The fundamental reason why countless people live tired lives is that they spend their whole lives cleaning up others' emotional messes. They reflect on themselves when others lose their temper, feel guilty when others have a bad life, and get anxious when others' mentality collapses. Giving up this unnecessary sense of responsibility is the first and most important line of defense for adult emotional self-protection. The second method is the universal limited participation and isolation method, which solves the unavoidable long-term emotional consumption in intimate relationships and workplace scenarios. Many people are confused about a practical problem in life. They clearly understand the need for emotional isolation and boundary protection, but the people who consume their emotions are often relatives, colleagues, and close friends who cannot be alienated or avoided. In this case, blind avoidance is unrealistic, and forced tolerance will only aggravate internal friction. The core solution is to adhere to the principle of limited participation and never deep involvement. The workplace is the largest emotional consumption scenario for modern adults. There are always many people in the workplace who are used to complaining about work, criticizing leaders, complaining about treatment, and spreading anxiety. Many people will follow the crowd to resonate and get angry after hearing these negative remarks. As a result, those who complain vent their emotions and return to a stable state, while the bystanders who listen are trapped in negative emotions for a long time and fall into severe internal friction. The correct workplace emotional self-protection strategy is polite listening, no echoing, no excessive empathy, and no emotional archiving. When colleagues complain about heavy work pressure, poor salary, and uncertain future development, there is no need for you to resonate with their negative emotions, no need to be angry for their unfair treatment, and no need to be confused and anxious with their negative cognition. You need to keep a clear cognition all the time. These are their workplace emotions and negative perceptions, which cannot represent your work status and life future. After listening politely and giving simple perfunctory responses, you need to clear these negative information in time. Do not repeatedly recall and ponder, and never let others' workplace anxiety occupy your spiritual space. Family affection is another main source of emotional consumption, which is easier to break through personal emotional boundaries than workplace socialization. Because of deep affection and inherent sense of responsibility for relatives, people are always easily affected by their parents' anxiety, relatives' complaints, and family negative atmosphere. But we need to clearly recognize that the pessimistic cognition, anxious mentality, and complaining habits of relatives are formed by their decades of life experience and cognitive limitations, which cannot be changed by your few words of comfort and persuasion, and are not your life responsibilities. You can choose to listen patiently and comfort appropriately, but you must not be kidnapped by your relatives' negative emotions. Nor should you deny your own life and future because of their negative attitudes. Most emotional disturbances seem to be real troubles at the moment, but they are just passing experiences in the long life journey. Essentially, all emotional consumption comes from the individual's acquiescence to external negative information, allowing others' negative energy to stay and ferment in their hearts. Learning to let external negative emotions pass by like the wind without retaining or pondering can reduce more than half of life's internal friction. The third method is the energy reset method for rapid emotional recovery, which thoroughly cleans up residual negative emotions and repairs consumed inner energy. No matter how firm your emotional boundaries are and how perfect your isolation methods are, living in a complex social environment for a long time, it is inevitable to be subtly affected by external negative emotions and suffer slight spiritual consumption. At this time, many people will choose to persist stubbornly or force themselves to ignore negative emotions, which is a wrong way of emotional regulation. The famous psychological white bear effect clearly points out that the more you suppress and resist your emotions, the stronger the emotional rebound will be. All forced indifference and deliberate suppression will not eliminate negative emotions, but will accumulate them in the subconscious. These suppressed emotions will eventually break out in the form of anxiety, depression, and insomnia, causing more serious mental damage. The top emotional repair method is not suppression, but timely evacuation and physical separation. When you feel emotionally depressed, mentally tired, and energy consumed, you must take the initiative to leave the negative scene immediately. You can stand up and walk around, open windows for ventilation, wash your face with cold water, listen to soft and relaxing pure music, or take 3 minutes of deep breathing meditation. Through short-term physical solitude and environmental replacement, cut off all external emotional input. Temporarily isolate social interaction and interpersonal interference, and empty the negative garbage accumulated in the heart. Personal inner emotional energy is like the power of a mobile phone. Continuous acceptance of external negative emotions is equivalent to continuous power consumption. If you keep consuming without charging, your inner spiritual system will eventually crash, resulting in complete emotional collapse. Short-term solitude and relaxation are the most efficient and direct charging methods for adult mental energy. This repair method does not require complex professional skills or a lot of time and energy. Only a few minutes session can effectively clean up residual negative emotions and restore inner stability. Long-term adherence to this habit can significantly improve personal emotional regulation ability, make the inner state more relaxed and stable, and greatly reduce the probability of emotional internal friction. It is necessary to correct a widespread cognitive misunderstanding in the whole network. Many people have completely misunderstood the essence of emotional self-protection in the process of learning emotional management. They think that to avoid being consumed by others' emotions, they must stay away from all social interactions, close their inner hearts, become cold and selfish, and be indifferent to everything. This is a wrong self-discipline and extreme emotional cognition. Blind closure and indifference will not bring inner stability, but will only make people more lonely, tense, and extreme. Long-term emotional alienation will weaken personal interpersonal perception ability, make people lose their gentle and kind nature, and fall into another kind of spiritual predicament. True advanced emotional self-protection is never cold-blooded indifference and selfish alienation, but gentleness with edges and kindness with bottom lines. After establishing complete emotional boundaries, you can still maintain your kindness and tenderness, still be willing to empathize with others' difficulties, and still take the initiative to treat the world gently. The only difference is that you will no longer tolerate without bottom lines, empathize without boundaries, and pay for others' negative emotions and wrong behaviors. You will learn to prioritize yourself, protect your inner energy first, and then treat others kindly. You can be friendly to the world, but you must learn to be kind to yourself first. The fundamental reason why most people live tired lives is the inversion of priorities. They are tolerant, gentle, and humble to outsiders, but harsh, demanding, and mean to themselves. They are afraid of offending others, afraid of disappointing others, and afraid of making others uncomfortable, but they are never afraid of wronging themselves and consuming themselves. Over time, one's kindness becomes a weakness that others can exploit. One's thoughtfulness becomes a shackle that traps oneself, and one's empathy becomes the source of endless internal friction. The highest self-discipline for adults is not to force themselves to be excellent and perfect, but to firmly guard their emotional boundaries and protect their inner spiritual energy. Do not let others' negative energy overdraw your life state. Do not let others' anxiety disrupt your life rhythm. Do not let others' sufferings consume your happiness and hope. Everyone's life is independent and unique. No one needs to bear the emotional weight of others, and no one needs to sacrifice their own spiritual happiness to accommodate others' deficiencies. If you are trapped in long-term emotional internal friction, often feel tired for no reason, are easily influenced by others' emotions, and fall into persistent self-denial and anxiety, please firmly keep this set of emotional self-protection methods in mind and practice them repeatedly in life. Personal emotional boundary is the most precious invisible bottom line in life. A person who can firmly guard his emotional boundaries can stabilize his life state and control his life rhythm. After you truly master emotional self-protection, you will not become cold and indifferent. On the contrary, you will become more gentle, transparent, and relaxed. You will still love life and treat others kindly, but you will no longer be coerced by external emotions, no longer consumed by others' negative states, and no longer trapped in meaningless internal friction. In one's life, we will meet countless people and experience countless trivial matters, and we will inevitably come into contact with all kinds of negative emotions. We cannot control other people's emotional changes, cannot change other people's cognitive defects, and cannot restrict other people's words and behaviors. The only thing we can control absolutely is our own inner state, our own emotional boundaries, and our own spiritual energy. All smooth and stable life states are based on emotional stability. All long-term emotional stability comes from effective self-protection and boundary awareness. Stop denying yourself because of high sensitivity, and stop consuming yourself because of excessive kindness. Your delicacy and empathy are your innate spiritual talents, not your personality flaws. Make good use of emotional boundaries to guard your inner energy. Bid farewell to internal friction, anxiety, and fatigue, and rebuild a stable and relaxed inner core. From today on, be a person with gentle appearance but firm bottom lines, kind heart but clear edges, empathy ability but no internal friction. Guard your own spiritual world, stabilize your life state, and embrace a more relaxed, positive, and smooth life. In modern society, emotional drainage has become one of the most common and overlooked mental health problems. Unlike physical fatigue that can be clearly perceived and actively adjusted, emotional exhaustion is hidden and deceptive. It accumulates little by little in daily interpersonal interactions, trivial communication, and subtle emotional fluctuations. And most people do not realize that they are being continuously consumed until their mental state completely collapses. Many individuals suffer from long-term insomnia, low mood, lack of motivation, social weariness, and even mild anxiety and depression, all of which stem from unrecognized long-term emotional loss and blurred emotional boundaries. What makes this problem more serious is that most people have no targeted solutions. They only know that they are tired and uncomfortable, but they cannot find the root cause, nor can they adopt effective adjustment methods. They can only rely on forced relaxation, passive endurance, or temporary escape to relieve pressure. These superficial coping methods can only bring short-term comfort and cannot solve the fundamental problem of emotional vulnerability. Once they return to the original social environment and interpersonal relationships, they will fall into the same consumption cycle again and again. To completely break the cycle of emotional internal friction, we need to further understand the behavioral consequences of long-term emotional drainage. When an individual's inner emotional energy is continuously consumed without effective supplementation and protection, a series of negative chain reactions will occur in both psychology and behavior. First of all, the sense of self-worth will decline significantly. People who are often consumed by others' emotions will unconsciously think that their feelings are unimportant, their needs are not worthy of being satisfied, and their inner world is insignificant compared with others' emotions. This subtle cognitive deviation will slowly erode self-confidence and self-acceptance.